Hello YouTube, this is Azrael. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I am going to get environmental in this video instead of talking about magic. I mean, I will be talking about that. I did start a new job, so I work longer hours and I get home later, so I'm usually tired. But I will continue with my lesson plans in a few days. In this video, though, I'm going to be talking about a conversation I had with somebody that got me thinking and, doing the research. A lot of people are like, I'm super environmental and I only use fake trees because cutting down a tree for a Christmas celebration or a Yule celebration just sucks. Well, man, sounds solid, rock solid. But here's why I only use live trees for the most part when I can. First off, the artificial trees. Thousands and thousands and thousands of trees are thrown out each year. Artificial trees are thrown out each year. And thousands and thousands and thousands of new artificial trees are bought every year. The problem with this is they are artificial, which means that they're made in a factory and their parts that were put together in the factory were made in another factory, all which create extra pollution. These trees are not really biodegradable. Matter of fact, many of them are flame resistant, which means they can't even be burnt up, and pretty much for the most part, they just sit there in our landfill and in our environment for hundreds and hundreds of years, not doing anything except for making trash. Some of them are probably built so well they'll be there for thousands of years. These trees are live trees. I will plant them. Me and the wife will plant them after our Yule celebration. They'll take them off our altar and we'll plant them in the backyard. The tree that we have in our front house, living room, yes, is a real tree. And here's why they're better. First of all, it takes about 6 to 7 years on an average for a tree to be grown on a Christmas tree farm. So they are planted just for Christmas trees. You're not going into the woods and cutting down the wilderness for your celebration. These trees were planted for this specific purpose. So you're not really taking away from the environment, except for maybe the farmland used to grow them, which, by the way, follows the same aspect. Any farmland that is grown for food, it has to be taken away from the environment. You're going to grow corn, you're going to grow tomatoes, you're going to have farmland, and that's going to take away from the natural order of things, or wilderness, I meant to say. The other benefits of this is that for at least 6 to 7 years, at least these plants are producing oxygen instead of polluting it with carbon monoxide or whatever other chemicals are used in these plants that they give off and waste with artificial trees. When they're done being used, they return back to the environment. So our Christmas trees will either be recycled back into paper by taking them to a Christmas tree recycling plant or place, or it'll be chopped up into mulch, which will take less of a carbon footprint than it would take to make a real fake tree. So it's just a smaller carbon footprint. And for 7 years, it's actually adding oxygen to the environment. This will return back to the environment within a year or so, as opposed to thousands. So this is actually still a better option. Again, they're grown on Christmas tree lots. So technically, people who have a problem with cutting down those trees that are grown for that specific purpose, it's kind of like arguing potatoes. It's wrong to harvest potatoes for French fries because potatoes were farmed for French fries. These Christmas trees are farmed for the Yule and Christmas celebrations. You're not taking away from the environment any more than the land. But even planting them for 7 years will add back to the environment It'll still make temporary homes for several years for critters. Uh, but in any case, the only drawback with the live trees, apparently, is that because they are wild, at any given time you have a lot of bugs living in the trees that you just can't see, and you bring them into your house. But it hasn't killed us yet. Doubt it will, but I think, you know, millions of plastic trees will eventually overrun and kill us all. So it's just in general. Thank you for listening to my rant. But in the end, the people who make artificial trees have an agenda to sell those trees. So of course they're going to do some propaganda and say, well, you know, our trees, you can use them every year for several years, which sounds better. It does sound better. But when you realize the fact that that tree that you bought is not going to go nowhere long after you dead, all right, it's going to be there, thrown out in the garbage, just sitting in the environment. But if you bought a living tree every year, it goes back to the environment, and it won't. It's not going to do anything. It's natural. Natural trees are the way to go. Bought from tree farms, not going into the woods and chopping one down yourself. And those trees are for nature. Leave nature alone. Use farm trees. Thank you for listening to my rant, but the fake trees are really bad for the environment in the long run. They just make pollution. They look pretty for a longer period of time, but they'll be looking pretty sitting in the garbage can for thousands of years. Again, thank you for listening to my rant. This is Azrael telling you to keep Yule in Yuletide and the Saturn in Saturnalia. Have a happy Yule season. I'll see you in the next video.